nation within the past few hours.
The Xinjiang Uyghur Autonomous Region always respects and guarantees the human rights of people of all ethnic groups and protects the freedom rights of citizens of all ethnic groups according to the law and on an equal footing. There are no such things as re-education centers. It must be pointed out that Xinjiang is a victim of terrorism. In an effort to secure the life and property of all ethnic groups in the region, Xinjiang Uyghur Autonomous Region has undertaken a special campaigns to crack down on violent terrorist activities according to law, and put on trial and imprisoned a number of criminals involved in serious offenses.
Those are comments from the Chinese delegation at the UN in Geneva earlier today. Now, Xinjiang is a vast region in western China. And on Friday, the UN said that it had received credible reports of some 1 million Uyghurs being held in internment camps there. But a state-run newspaper in China, the Global Times, responded defending a strong security presence as necessary to prevent China's Syria from happening. Now, who are the Uyghurs? Well, they are a Turkic-speaking, mainly Muslim ethnic group, thought to number about 10 million in Xinjiang. Uyghur separatists have been calling on China to recognize their independence for a long time, but Beijing blames them for several recent terror attacks in China. Now, there are very heavy reporting restrictions from China's Xinjiang province. Washington Post correspondent Emily Rauhala has written about new evidence of China forcing Muslims into internment camps. She joins us now live from Beijing. Emily, thank you so much for joining us here in the program. China, as you heard, they've denied it. They flat out denied the mass detention of Uyghurs in Xinjiang. You went to Kazakhstan to talk to a growing number of witnesses there. What did they share with you?
That's exactly right, Kristie. The reporting conditions on the ground in Xinjiang are such that we decided it was basically too dangerous to interview people on the ground. So we went to Kazakhstan, where we interviewed 3 people, ethnic Kazakhs who were born in China but now live in Kazakhstan, who said they escaped re-education camps in Xinjiang, as well as a number of people who say they have a family member, a mother, a father, a brother, currently in detention.
And you managed to speak to almost about 24 people who either escaped the camps or believe that they have relatives detained there. Could you tell us a little bit more about what they told you, and when they spoke with you, were they afraid? Were they afraid of retribution by China?
Sure. I spoke to them in late July. I was in Kazakhstan to attend the trial of an ethnic Kazakh Chinese national who actually testified, first of its kind testimony, that she was forced to work in an internment camp in China, then fled to Kazakhstan. Now, her trial has really sort of brought this issue out into the open in Kazakhstan. Generally, people are terrified to talk about these issues. The Chinese government will threaten their families, threaten them directly. But this trial and having this sworn testimony for the first time has really brought this into the open. And I spoke to a number of people. They were nervous to speak, but they finally thought, you know, I've stayed silent on this for months, and it's time to speak out.
Right. Wanted to get your thoughts on the op-ed that came out at the weekend from the Global Times in China. It says, quote,
right.
You know, through the strong leadership of the Communist Party, Xinjiang has avoided becoming China's Syria. Is that the view of mainland Chinese officials, or is that just a more extreme, hardline view that's out there in China?
I think that's fairly mainstream. What we know is that China really considers this a terrorist threat. There have been some credible reports of Uyghur militants fighting in Syria. There have been attacks in China. But this is really a small number when you look at the numbers that are currently in re-education. I think what we're seeing today in Geneva is an attempt by China to reframe this from a debate about mass incarceration, mass internment, massive human rights violations, to a debate about public safety and about terrorism. And I think they're going to have a lot of pushback from the UN panel and from others as well.
Yeah, especially after that denial that the Chinese delegation gave earlier today. And tell us finally, what's at stake here? You know, if the world fails to meaningfully address what's happening to China's Uyghurs in Xinjiang, what will happen to them?
We don't know, but the signs are not good. The UN, as you said, estimates that there could be as many of 1 million people currently in extra-legal detention. The people I interviewed said that they had been basically locked up without trial. Several people alleged torture and forcibly re-educated. And I think this is really one of the major human rights issues. And so far, the response from the international community has been rather quiet.
Emily Rauhala with the Washington Post. We thank you for your reporting. We thank you for joining us here on the program. Take care.